Hello everybody and welcome to today's lesson. My name is Mr. Lim KH and today I'll be going through a P6 CA1 science paper from the 2020 Red Swastika. Okay, so the first part that we are going through will be the section A, multiple choice questions. There's 15 of them. Let's start from question 1. Okay, question 1, study the flow chart below. So animals, and then does it have hair? Yes and no. And then does it have scales? Yes. And does it have gills? No. Okay, and then the flow chart will flow into animal A and animal B. So which of the following is classified correctly for group A and B? So we're gonna look at group A first because group A will be a bit easier. Animals that have hair. Okay, so for animals that have hair, so we're gonna eliminate insect for sure. Okay, which means that option 1 and 3 is out. So we can take a look at the next option, which is for group B. Okay, group B will be animals that do not have hair. Okay, they have scales and they do not have gills. Okay, fish, they have gills, so we are gonna eliminate option number 2, which means that we are only left with number 4. Okay, question 2. Which statement is correct about the fern and the mushroom? They grow only on ground. This is wrong because there are mushrooms that grow on trees. Okay, and also bird's nest ferns, they also grow on trees. They are non-flowering plants. Not sure about ferns. They reproduce from spores. Yep, probably. And they make their own food. No, definitely not. Okay, so I will choose number 3. Question number 3. Amina wanted to find out how the length of the wing-like structure affects the distance traveled by the seeds. So the length of the wing-like structure over here. Okay, which of the following should be kept constant to ensure a fair test? Okay, so since she wants to find out how the length of the wing-like structure affects the distance traveled by the seeds, right? So the length of the wing-like structure will be the change variable. Okay, and this will be the measured. So which of the following should be kept constant to ensure a fair test? Location of the experiment, yes, because the only thing that you will change is the length of the wing-like structure. Height from which the seeds were dropped, got to be kept constant. Okay, so only A and C, which means that it is number 2. Question number 4. Study the dispersal of seeds by plants X, Y, and Z. So we have the wind direction. Look at pattern seed dispersal for X. They are pretty close to the parent plant. So I would think this is by splitting. Okay, for Y, they are like slightly further apart and they are in a random manner. So should be by animals. Okay, and then for Z, they are in the direction of wind, right? So it should be dispersed by wind. How their seeds most likely dispersed? So for X, it should be explosive action. For Y, it will be animal, and for Z, it will be wind. Okay, option 2. Question 5. Brian observed 2 cells, X and Y. Okay, under the microscope, he completed the table below. A tick indicates that the part was observed in the cell. So cell X will have nucleus, cytoplasm, and also cell membrane. Cell Y will have nucleus, cell wall, cytoplasm, and also cell membrane. Which of the following shows the correct classification? So for cell X, it is probably an animal cell. For cell Y, probably a plant cell. Okay, but notice that for both of them, okay, the chloroplast is absent. Okay, so we are going to eliminate plant cell, and for cell Y, we're gonna eliminate the leaf because chloroplast is absent. Okay, which means that number 4 should be the correct answer. Question 6. The diagram below shows the circulatory system in a fish and human. Okay, so for A, this is a circulatory system of a fish. For B, oh no, okay, this is path A, B, and C. Okay, and over here, the one on the right side is the circulatory system of a human. Which of the following identifies oxygen-rich blood and carbon dioxide-rich blood at the different parts correctly? Okay, so we're gonna try and identify the oxygen-rich blood first. It's probably this, just come out from the gills. And for the human, it's probably G that just come out from the lungs towards the heart, and probably D also. Okay, ADG. There seems to be no other option. Okay, so the parts that is carbon dioxide rich will be CD, okay, E, N, F. So option 1 should be the answer. Question 7. Which of the following is produced by green plants during photosynthesis? Okay, food, oxygen. Okay, definitely not carbon dioxide because carbon dioxide is taken in during photosynthesis. Okay, so A and B only, option 2. Question 8. David set up the following experiment using green bean seeds. So there's a flask, cotton wool, green bean seeds. Which of the following conditions should he choose in order to have the seedlings with the thinnest stems at the end of the experiment? Okay, there are location, the type of cotton wool, and number of green bean seeds. So the first 2 that we eliminate will be these 2 because the cotton wool need to have water in order for this experiment to be a fair one. Out of option 1 and 4, in the garden near the window, moist and moist, so the number of green bean 6 and 30. Okay, if you want it to be the thinnest, then you're gonna choose the one that is overcrowded. Okay, so we're gonna choose option 4. Question 9. Rain boots are worn to protect the person from getting their feet wet when he or she is walking in heavy rain. So based on the properties shown below, which material is most suitable for making the rain boots? Okay, so definitely rain boots you want it to be waterproof, so number 4 is out. Okay, you definitely want it to be flexible. And do you want your boots to be strong? Yes, okay, you want your boots to be strong because you do not want it to break easily. Okay, question 10. Which of the following about condensation and evaporation in the water cycle is not correct? The evaporation occurs at a fixed temperature. This is wrong because evaporation occurs at all temperature. Oh, okay, they're asking for the one that's not correct, but I'm gonna go through option 2, 3, and 4. Condensation happens when water vapor loses heat. Yes. Evaporation is affected by the temperature of the surroundings. Yes. Okay. Condensation causes the formation of clouds. Yes. So the answer is option 1. Question 11. Martin put 3 identical hot buns of the same temperature into 3 identical boxes, P, Q, and R. The number of holes on the lid of the boxes are different. Okay, so box P will have 2 holes, box Q will have 4, and box R will have 8. Based on the information above, which of the following statements is correct? Okay, water droplets formed on the inner surface of the box lids for P and Q only. I don't think so, because box R will also, like the inner surface will definitely have some water droplets. Okay, the holes allow all the water droplets in the box to escape into the surroundings. No, they allow the water vapor, okay, not the water droplets. The most amount of water droplets dripped from the inner surface of the box lid onto the buns in box P. Maybe, okay, probably, because box P has got the least amount of holes, so least amount of water vapor will escape and more water droplets will form. The most amount of water droplets dripped from the inner surface of the box lid onto the buns in box R. No. Okay, so option 3 should be the answer. Question 12. Diagram shows the arrangement of 4 bulbs in a circuit. So, okay, this is a circuit with bulb P, Q, R, and S. Which of the following bulbs can be turned on or off using the switch? Okay, the switch is here. Okay, so if you look at the circuit, the switch can only control these 2 bulbs. Okay, because over here, okay, it is a series circuit and there's no switch. The switch over here will not cause an open circuit over there. Okay, so only P and R, okay, can be turned on or off using the switch. Okay, question 13. Ramesh kicked a ball upwards, so position A, B, and C. At which positions did gravitational force act on the ball? So gravitational force, remember, acts on all position. Okay, it's not gravitational potential energy, so you got to read carefully. Question 14. Ahmad pushed his toy car across surface A. Okay, so toy car pushed across surface A. He repeated the experiment by using the same amount of force on the toy car on 3 different surfaces. Okay, 3 other different surfaces, B, C, and D. The time taken for the toy car to come to a complete stop is recorded and shown below. So time taken for A, B, C, and D. You can see that A takes the longest time to come to a stop. So this should be the smoother surface, and R should be the roughest. Okay, based on the information above, which of the following statements are correct? Surface C is the smoothest. Probably not. Surface D is rougher than surface A. Okay, but smoother than surface C. Yeah, probably correct. Frictional force between the toy car and surface A is the least. Okay. There is no frictional force acting between the toy car and surface C. It's not correct, because if there's no frictional force acting in between, then it will never ever come to a stop. Okay, so it should be option 2, B and C only. Okay, question 15. A wire was coiled around a metal base as a metal bar, as shown below. At first, the metal ball did not move. Okay, when the battery was placed in between J and K, that means the battery is placed here. Okay, the metal ball moved towards the metal bar before dropping back down. This was repeated until the battery was removed. So what can be concluded based on the information above? The metal bar was a permanent magnet. No, because if it is a permanent magnet, it would have attracted the metal ball straight away. The metal ball was made of a magnetic material. Yes, definitely. If not, it would not be attracted by the metal bar. The metal ball dropped down as there was a closed circuit. No. Okay, the reason why the metal ball dropped down is because there is an open circuit over here, created when the metal ball is attracted towards the metal bar, okay, leaving a gap over here. So the only info that we can conclude is B. Okay, number 1. Okay, so we're gonna move on to section B, the open-ended questions. There's 5 of them, 20 marks altogether. Start with question 16. The diagram below shows how a fruit is formed from flower X. So flower X, there's process A and process B. State process A and B, so process A is probably pollination. Okay, process B is probably fertilization. Okay, for part B, which part of the flower did part Y? Part Y is the seeds, right? Okay, of the fruit developed from, so they are developed from the ovules. Okay, the picture shows organism Z interacting with flower X. Okay, organism Z looks like a bee, flower X. Describe how organism Z helps in process A. Process A is pollination, right? Okay, so what we can say is, first of all, wow, organism Z is collecting nectar from flower X. It will brush it against the anther of flower X and help to transfer the pollen grains onto the stigma. Okay, there's more organism. Okay, pollen grains and get stuck onto the body of organism Z and get transferred to the stigma of another flower. Okay, question 17. Peter conducted an experiment to investigate how the amount of light affected the mass of fruits in plant X over a period of time. Okay, so conduct an experiment to investigate how the amount of light affected the mass of fruits. So remember, when you're reading the question, the amount of light is the change variable and the mass of the fruits is the measured variable. The graph below shows the results of the experiment. Okay, a graph that shows you the mass of the fruits versus the amount of light. Based on the graph, state how the amount of light affected the mass of the fruits produced by plant X. So this question you got to is a relationship type of question. You have to explain it in two parts. Sorry. Okay, when maybe this time we can use okay, when the amount of light increase from 0 to 15 units, comma, the mass of fruits increases. Okay, so but okay, I'm gonna start with the amount of light increase from 15 to 20. The mass of fruits remains the same. For part B, Peter decreases the amount of carbon dioxide used in the experiment. Explain what will happen to the mass of the fruits after some time. Okay, so increase the amount of carbon dioxide. Okay, when the amount of carbon dioxide is decreased, the rate of photosynthesis decreases, hence the amount of food stored in the fruits increases. And so will the mass decreases. Okay, question 18. Jerome wanted to find out how the mass of a car affects the time taken for it to reach the bottom of the ramp. He set up the experiment below and gave the car a gentle push to let it move down the ramp. Okay, for part A, fill in the boxes to show the energy conversion in the car as it moves down the ramp. So at point A over here, the energy would be gravitational potential. Okay, so the gravitational potential energy will be converted into kinetic energy. Okay, plus sound, and there will be a bit of heat energy. Okay, part B, without changing or adding any new apparatus or materials, state what he could do to make the car move down the ramp faster using the same force. Okay, so what he can do is he can use the adjustable knob to adjust the height of the clamp or to increase the height of the clamp. Okay, use the adjustable knob, increase the height of the lamp. Okay, explain your answer. When the height of the when the height of the clamp is increased, okay, there will be more gravitational potential energy to be converted into more kinetic energy. Okay, for part D, Jerome repeated the experiment by applying a layer of oil on the surface of the ramp. Explain what will happen to the time taken for the toy car to reach the bottom of the ramp. Okay, the time taken will decrease. Okay, the reason is because the layer of oil reduces a frictional force between the surface and the car, right, toy car. Okay, question 19. A weight is hung on spring A as shown below. So this is the original length of the spring, and the weight, when the weight is hung on spring A, it will extend. Name the force acting on the weight as it is hung on the spring. Okay, so there will always be gravitational force. Okay, acting on the weight. Okay, so in the next part of this question, 5 more identical weights were hung on spring A one by one. The the length of spring A was measured and recorded. The experiment was repeated using spring B. So this is spring A, and this is B. The graph shows the results obtained. Okay, the mass and the length. What is the original length of spring A? So the original length of spring A will be 10 cm. Okay, which spring is more suitable for measuring objects weighing 250 gram? Okay, so if you look at 250 gram and draw a dotted line upwards. Okay, spring B will be the one that's more suitable. It's because if you look at the length of spring B, okay, as it increases past 250 grams into the 300 grams, the length of spring B still increases, but for spring A, the length of it increases only until 150 grams. Okay, anything higher than 150 grams, the length of the spring does not increase anymore. So you can't really use spring A to measure an object that is 250 grams. Okay, so we're gonna answer the question first. Which spring is more suitable? Spring B. Okay, explain your answer as the weights increase from 0 to 300 gram. Okay, the length of spring B increases steadily. As for spring A, okay, any mass more than 150 gram, the spring, the length of spring A does not increase anymore. Okay, moving on to question 20. An experiment is set up as shown below. Both containers were identical and filled with water at 90 degrees Celsius. Okay, so both have thermometer, container with water, block of wood, setup A and setup B. The only difference is there's this large glass container that is around setup B. Okay, in which container A or B will the water be at a higher temperature after 30 minutes? That will be setup B. Okay, the reason is because the large glass container, okay, will trap air around setup B, or will not allow air to escape around setup B. And since air is a bad conductor of heat, so this will prevent the water from losing heat. Okay, so we're gonna write down the answer. Setup B is enclosed by a large glass container hence air around okay, setup B cannot escape. Since air is a bad conductor of heat, okay, this will prevent the water in B to lose heat. Okay, I'm going to change this answer a bit. Instead of saying that this will prevent, I'm going to say that this will reduce, because it doesn't totally prevent. This will reduce the amount of heat loss. Since air is a bad conductor of heat, this will reduce the amount of heat loss by the water to the surrounding. Okay, part C, what will happen to the temperature of water in both setups after 1 day? So the temperature of water in both setups will eventually reach room temperature, because they will continue to lose heat until they are with the same temperature as the surroundings, which is the room temperature. Okay, the temperature of water in both setups will eventually reach room temperature. Okay, there's no need to explain this question. Okay, so we have come to the end of this paper, and if you have any question, you can drop by my Facebook page and let me know. So I'll be going through another set of paper in the next video.